Yo, what up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Source and Company. I'm your host, Source, of course. As always, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Smitty Source on both of those. Follow the Source and Company Instagram for the show, Source NCO, the letters NCO podcast, Source NCO podcast. And you can subscribe to the Source, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, something. Pick one, pick them all, just subscribe. All right, cool. So today's company is a native of NYC. It's a lot of New Yorkers down here. I don't know. We're going to have to talk about how do they end up in Richmond and then complain about being in Richmond. But that's another story. Today's company is the owner-operator of Unlocking RVA, which is an event planning company, large or small scale events. Holler at this young lady and she will get you straight. She is also a professor at the University of Richmond. Dang, that's heavy. Today's company, Faith Wilkerson. How you doing, Faith?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I got you with the New York thing. You know how y'all act when y'all come to.
Yes. No, absolutely. And it's more so younger folks or kind of like that 20 something who is used to kind of, you know what I mean? Like lights, camera, action. You can wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go get something. Whereas here our options are Wawa and Sheets and Waffle House. And that's about it. For me, it's a little bit different. I came to Virginia when I was 15. So for me, I mean, it whatever. You know what I mean? Like I was in high school, I finished out high school, and then I immediately ended up moving to Richmond to whatchamacallit? Oh, go to VCU. And so I just never left. So for me, it's just a little bit different because again, you're able to get new friends and get comfortable in your environment. Whereas like my parents, like my mom, for example, like it was a hard transition. My dad actually went from New York to Atlanta. So he was a little bit better because I think that was the first kind of migration, everybody from New York going to Atlanta. But yeah, I mean, they just complain because it's different. I feel like Virginia, specifically Richmond, is a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll. But it just depends on what era you came down here. So I was just having a great conversation with a friend about how when I got here in 2000, a lot of the Richmond treasures were closing or I was too young to enjoy. So I didn't go to Ivory's. I didn't go to After Six. You know what I mean? I didn't experience the Richmond Live because when I got here, it just closed. Like, those were all things that I was like, But I got the boss on Thursdays. I got college night, so I did get that.
Understood. Yeah, the boss was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said Ivory's.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I didn't. I didn't get that, and I never was going to step a pinky toe into satellite, so I'm okay on that. But
it is
I missed out on some good. No, I'm good.
Understood. So you said you moved down. So your family moved, your family moved to Richmond or to the Virginia area, and you were 15.
Yeah. So basically, I'm a product of a military. So my mom remarried, and my stepdad joined the army, and so it's a great transition. We left New York and went to Sumter, South Carolina, and then ended up in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and then eventually Newport News, Virginia. So I finished out my last 3 years of high school in Newport News before I moved to Richmond.
Now we talk about Richmond. You went from New York to.
I did Sumter, South Carolina. It's about an hour outside of Columbia. Yep. Definitely were. First time seeing a cow. First time like, what the hell is going on? Like, you know what I mean? Like it was a culture shock for sure. But again, as a kid, it's just different, because your priorities are different. I saw the benefits of, I can ride my bike outside. I can actually go outside. My mom, I was the only child for about 13 years. And so I was very sheltered. So I was one of those kids that got on the train. I didn't ride the bus by myself. My mom walked me to school every day. And I used to be so upset about it. But then you grow up and you see documentaries and you realize, the crack epidemic. Thanks, Mom. You know what I mean? I didn't equate that to the 80s when you're growing up. Like, but I get it. We lived in the hood. We live in Southside. So, you walking down the street, I don't know that's a crackhead. Why would I know that? Like, so once we got to South Carolina, it was a breath of fresh air just to be able to I literally ride my bike all day, headphones on, not a care in the world. So for me, it was a great transition. I'm sure my parents would like get me out of here. But again, that military life, But to your point, when we were talking before you push record, I just feel like there's been like this great insurgence of different cultures, because had I not got to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, I would not be as versed in 3 6 Mafia. It's just a thing, you know. I mean, Fort Campbell is split between Tennessee and Kentucky, and I wouldn't know all those lyrics
You
if it
need
wasn't
that.
for that time there.
You need that. Everybody needs a little
Yes,
6 Mafia in their life. That's real.
yes.
That's real. So we're going. Well, let's actually, because we're talking about nothing to do, or we mentioned nothing to do when you were a kid.
Mhm,
Let's talk about this unlocking RVA off the rip. First of all, the idea that there's nothing to do in Richmond is a story for all
mhm,
ages. It started
mhm,
whenever, and it just carried. And even to this point now, where Richmond is listed, maybe for good reasons, maybe for bad reasons, but they're
mhm,
listed in the top 10 cities to visit here, there,
mhm.
whatever reason, people still say the same thing. And that's where you come into play, right?
Yeah, so about 4.5 years ago, the initial idea was honestly just to create an Instagram account that reposted all of the things that was happening in the city, whether that was food festivals, plays, concerts, local businesses, anything, and it was just that, because a lot of times people were seeing the things my friends and I were doing and just thinking, I don't know that that we had some kind of secret intel, but that wasn't the case. We were reading, we're on listservs, we're all really active, but it was also about diversifying your event portfolio. So we're not just looking for the black stuff. Like,
Mm,
it's whatever's going to be fun, because it's usually like 4 or 5 of us. All we need is each other. And we're super open to talking to different people, and just having a good time. So that, I think, was what Unlocking RVA was initially created for, to say, look, take away race. Let's take away all of that. Just go somewhere different and have a good time. The museum can actually be fun. Like, going to a brewery can be fun. Going to this food festival, which all of this stuff could be fun. The issue that I realized, that people hate to read. And that's why they weren't really finding out about stuff. And so I said, okay, well, let me just start reposting. And that's all it was. I mean, it was, and sometimes I go back to like the very beginning of my time. I was super lazy. I'm literally using the repost app. I'm still keeping the watermark on there, not even, putting any energy. But eventually, I would hear people talking about it and saying, oh, I saw this on Unlocking RVA. And I'm like, oh, well, I can't keep doing y'all like this. Let me be a little bit more, detailed, really do my research and not just copy and paste. And so from there, the first year, no one knew it was me. I didn't tell anyone that I was Unlocking RVA, because I didn't want people to, support it just because it was me. If it wasn't a valuable tool, didn't want to keep pushing it. And so naturally, I'm an event planner, I guess, by trade. And so beginning to then infiltrate events that I felt like were missing or could have a better twist on it became what the option was for year 2. So we started doing hip hop karaoke. We started doing open mic nights. We started having brunches, and doing an event called Cocktails and Choreo, which is, again, the traditional hip hop class. I mean, we're going to learn a hip hop routine, but I'm giving you liquor, because when you dance better when you drink. And in the midst of
love.
that, you're getting, yeah, exactly. You're getting local, we're getting local companies that are, doing vodka, that doing moonshot, things like that, to again cross promote, because that's essentially what Unlocking RVA is about. It's showing you how you can be loyal to local and still get the finer things in life.
Man, yeah, I like that you mentioned the cocktails and choreo. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, obviously you dance better when you got
Hmm.
when you're
Hmm.
more
Hmm.
free. That's what it is, being free,
Hmm. Hmm.
man. So you've been doing this for, you said, 4 years, 4.5 years.
Hmm.
How
Yeah.
you, how have you seen, has the city changed, you think? Well, obviously right now things are very
Yeah.
different.
No. Yeah.
I appreciate the way that you've been able to maintain and actually keep yourself active and keep the people
Yeah.
looking for events that you do online as well.
Yeah, thank you. The city has definitely changed 1000%, both in access and creativity. I think we're definitely stepping up our game in several areas. Just like to your point, I mean, we have some areas of improvement, but when it comes to local business, when it comes to the creativity, and the insurgence of people just going for their dreams and just really opening businesses and creating events and experiences that almost make you not want to leave. You know what I mean? My feeling is like, something in the water. happened in Virginia Beach. I'm like, where are something in the water is coming. I don't know what it is, but I'm just like, it's coming. You know what I mean?
Got
One
to.
day. But I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, Virginia Beach deserved that, right? Because all, people don't normally, that's not normally a tourist. Like, yeah, I'm about to go to Virginia Beach. We don't normally say that. So, for me, it's just continually attempting to figure out ways to keep up and adjust to that and meet our local businesses, but also my demographic where they are, because most of my followers are women. And so it's about keeping them in mind when I'm creating this event, because sometimes the gimmick of when women are, men follow. That doesn't always happen in my events. Most of the time it's women and they are fine by themselves. And I'm just like, but we need some guys. So, it's now about trying to see how I can fit little things in where you guys will feel like, all right, I'm gonna pull up. And so when COVID hit, I thank you for, the kudos for today, but I mean, for 3 months, there was nothing. And so that's how things came about, where I was trying to do things virtually to kind of keep up with the Joneses and at least keep some sort of visibility until I could figure out what is the next thing we could do. And so, outdoor events have kind of been that transition. And I can't take full credit for it. It was something Richmond Parks and Recs was like, hey, Faith, you want to try to do this style of headphone party? We feel like that could be good. I'm like, sure. I only expected to do one. I'm doing my fourth one on the 31st. Like, that wasn't, like, I wasn't ready for that transition. But in that came, well, if I can do the marketplace, what other spaces can I just go in and do something and just transition it? And that's what it's kind of been like. I feel like I'm a little bit, usually I plan things like 6 months in advance, but I feel like I literally, like, I'm waking up like, oh, that would be dope. Let me see if I can get that in. I just start shooting off emails to see if it can be executed, really. So at this point, we're in trial and error.
Hey, look, people can't be mad. I mean, we're in
Yeah.
this space. People are
Yeah.
looking for anything and everything to do. So that's definitely appreciated. Man, you mentioned the silent headphone party. I've seen them like on
Mhm.
shows maybe, or
Yeah.
on TV, and it looks like, yo, that looks fun. But
Mhm.
it's not something I know that I would think that I would go to. Do people get there and like, oh, bro, I wasn't coming here, but now I'll be back next time?
Yes. And so the beauty of the Silent Headphone Party is that we're in the 17th Street Market. And so if anyone's ever been down there, I think there's 6 restaurants within this little circle, you can say,
Right.
within the plaza. And so people are just coming down and to eat. And then all of a sudden, it's like little by little, like every hour, you start seeing these lights. And then someone's sitting next to you with a headphone on and they're singing really bad, but you can't hear what they hear because there's no amplified sound. And so usually we have a couple of folks who don't show up and claim their headphones. So in that case, we are sometimes able to accommodate the walk up and they can kind of experience it for themselves. But this event goes back to the whole point I didn't create the silent headphone. I'm just doing it in the way that Unlocking RVA can only do it. But there's been several folks that have done silent headphone parties, just never in an outdoor platform. It's always been inside. So you don't always know what's happening unless you're a part of that particular person's network or someone saying, something to you. And again, that demographic is important. I just said, like I said, have that older women kind of vibe. But for the most part, to your point, people are looking for something to do. So when that option comes and you can have your headphone and go all the way over there, and not be next to the person. Or again, the one that we had on the 3rd at Parks and Rec, like, did you tell them the social distance? I said, I wish I can tell you. I did, but we actually had a party of 15. Like, they're all related. So if they want to be in there, but they as a unit, sorry, but they looked like really, it was a large group, but I'm like, they're related. That's their party. If it's too big for you, you should probably go stand because your headphone literally can work throughout the entire marketplace or on any other patios of the restaurants. So you don't
Right.
have to be in the middle of the square, is what I call it, if you don't want to.
That's dope. So it's basically one big party.
Yes, it's one big party, but again, you and I might be on different stations, so you can actually have up to 8 DJs or 8 some kind of sound sources if
Oh,
you wanted to. Yeah.
okay.
So I mean that's way too many. But if you were having, and again, a person has the control to switch on their headphones what channel they want to go to. So I just keep the 2 DJ model because it ends up being competition. Because as a DJ, you can see who's not on your channel, who is.
Mm.
And most of the time, the changeover becomes if one of your friends starts going crazy, and you like, well, that's not what you're listening to. And then you switch stations, and now that's when you start singing. So I actually had a promo video shot, and we chose Knuck If You Buck because, again, as you can imagine, when you've been out, that I come in the club, shaking my, and that's the part where we actually put in sound. Before then it's all silent, and then all of a sudden it's these girls that are just going in. And yeah, exactly. And that's the premise of the whole event, is that you could just be in your own bubble. It's like, just like when you put on headphones and you on, on a plane, in the air, wherever, like you like, oh, I'm in my own world. Don't talk to me.
Love it. I love it. I love it. And you get the hip hop karaoke. I got to mention that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes even before COVID, you'd have it at the difference, but I can't remember where.
No, you're fine. Yeah, we did bounce around. We were the first year and a half, we were consistent. We were at Seven Hills, RIP to Seven Hills, for our first year. And then after that, we switched over to Good Times. But then after Good Times, even in addition to any of those, we were still able to get booked. So if anybody wanted to book hip hop karaoke for their, private event or public event, we were able to do that. So we've done Heart and Soul Festival. We've done 2 Street. We did 2 Street actually 2 years in a row, where we took over the stage that was on Lee Street. So that's like super fun. And then we did a few of them inside the Urban Hang Suite. So before, again, COVID hit, and we did 2 virtual, but it's kind of weird because there's a lag. So whatever it looks weird. It worked out okay. It just, to the true essence of the event, it's super hard to kind of do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a dope idea out of the gate. Even I remember they used to have the hip hop karaoke in Northern Virginia, DC area.
Yeah, and so again, the same concept. I didn't invent karaoke, right? But I can still flip it and still be hip hop. So no, it's not Justin Timberlake unless it's featuring Jay-Z. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that. And that event is called Trap Karaoke. It still happens. But again, that's a little bit different. Like, their vibe is different. They actually have artists, so you could be singing, and T.I. may come out right behind you, and you didn't even know that was about to happen. They travel with this, and that's absolutely okay. But yeah, ours is just, again, filling a void. There wasn't a place. You go to karaoke nights. You've been to Buffalo Wild Wings. They don't got Jeezy on the list.
Nah.
They don't have that. They don't have that new Nicki Minaj on that list. They might have like what, super bass, but that's not what you really want to sing. You know what I mean? So that was the whole purpose of Mark and I coming together, to kind of really just join forces. And so that really, actually, that came from, we started it with Richmond Black Restaurant Week, is actually one of the things. So we actually started doing it in the Mama J's event space. RIP to that as well. But that's how we kicked things off.
And you mentioned Richmond Black Restaurant Week. Man, well, now it's what experience now. Like,
yes, it is the experience. You're right.
another dope idea. I mean, since I love that, just to see. There's a lot of times. I mean, I've lived in Richmond forever, and it's still restaurants that pop up, and I'm like, where is this? Because I've never heard of it until Richmond Black Restaurant Experience. So that's definitely a big deal, and I appreciate that. This ain't about that. This is about you.
It's fine. Well, I mean, we do events for that too. I mean, I do the brunch trolley is a part of the Richmond Black Restaurant Experience. So that's something that, again, we created because, one, people were saying where that restaurant came from, and most of the times, who has time, right? Do you have the time in a week to get to the 40 some odd restaurants? Let's say you don't. But one Sunday, I can give you 3. Right. And I can give you a great experience, and you can meet new people, and then I can end you off with a party. So it still involves unlocking RVA in a sense.
That's dope. Man, so I mentioned at the beginning that you are a professor at U of R. First of all, I mean, I could have called you Doctor. Doctor.
You could have. Yes.
You have your doctorate.
I do.
In what? In education?
Yeah, so my doctor's in education. So it's a focus in administration, pretty much, as like I said, I've always worked in diversity and inclusion, things like that. And then now teaching is just an added bonus. So I actually teach public speaking. So that's the flip side. Like I'm not, I'm teaching about things I do in my everyday life versus maybe what I went to school for. But yeah.
What was that? The administrative side?
No, I mean, essentially, yeah. So public speaking, I'm not saying anyone can teach that, but essentially, most of the times when you see someone teaching there, it's matched with whatever they got the degrees in. So essentially, I have a bachelor's in mass communications and my master's and doctorate in higher ed, but again, to work in an administrative capacity, in which I do now at VCU.
Richmond, VCU, same time, man.
Yes.
It's got to be a conflict of interest, not for real.
Well, no, yeah, in this case it's fine because Richmond is a private institution and VCU is public. But the also flip side of that, I'm actually part time at VCU, so the center that I oversee, it's in a part time capacity. So I'm just I just lay my tracks down where whoever wants to have me, if it's a benefit and I think it can move me along for whatever path may come, I'm all for it. But teaching is like that's my let's say my retirement. Like I'm teaching because when I'm 60, 70 and I don't really want to fully retire, teaching is going to be what I'm going to do in between cruises and plane rides to some Caribbean island.
How has teaching been? I still probably will do a podcast and grab a teacher from the area and a student and maybe a parent, something like that. How has it been teaching in this space? I mean, college is kind of different because there are online classes anyway at times, but
Yeah. Well, it's been a hurdle because normally University of Richmond that's not online classes is not their thing. You would see that more at BCU because some of their grad programs, are pushing that, but University of Richmond really pushes in-seat because they're a small school. So for the most part, they really whereas VCU did a thing where 50 or less students, you would move into the lecture hall. So any 100 plus students, you automatically are virtual. That wasn't the case at Richmond. They literally were attempting to find different spaces for people to have their class just to spread out. Because I only have 16 in each of my class, but I have a total of 32 students. So they actually moved my class and I was like, oh no, I'm good. I'll be virtual. But it's been super difficult because public speaking, as you can imagine, it's the vibe is completely different. Your audience connects with you completely different. There's much more distractions than I think the student cares to admit that they don't think that I see. I know you're watching TV. I know that your dog is right there. I know that when you do like this, you're definitely petting your dog. It is what you're doing. Some people, I have a lot of athletes in my class, and so they have roommates. So I have, men walking around with no shirts on back, and will look and be like, oh, you in class? Like I can see them mouth that and don't even care. They'll still keep, you know what I'm saying? Like I have kids that are like, oh my God, maintenance just came. And they'll cut their camera off. You know what I mean? So it's super difficult. So what I'm finding is that you just have to be more open to that quick change. So when I get random emails that I can read or written in a panic, I'm just like, it's fine, it's okay, that's fine. Oh my God, thank you so much. Yeah, calm down. Like I keep trying to reiterate to them, it's not that deep.
right.
We're gonna get through it. Just let me know what you can do and I'll meet you there. But it's I couldn't imagine being a K-12 educator. So to your point, I'm 1000% sure it's a different vibe. Because the flexibility is a little different for college class. So if I feel like you're overwhelmed, we just won't have class. That's not always an option in K-12, but if you want to pop in and out, and again, these are adults, right? That are not really adults. So it's super weird to put so much responsibility on them to log in and be present because that's not their world. Their world is FaceTime. That's been all the video that they've ever probably done. So stuff like Zoom, we've always done teleconferencing and we know what you're supposed to not do. They don't know that because when they're on FaceTime, it's the most casual conversation they can ever have. So step by step, but I can't wait till Thanksgiving. That's when the semester is wrapping up. So yeah, because essentially, if things had kind of calmed down with COVID, the first initial solve was when they leave for Thanksgiving break, they wouldn't come back. Ordinarily, they come back for 2.5 weeks to finish school, finish classes, and then take their final exam.
Right.
But in this instance, Thanksgiving, everything starts wrapping up, and then you roll into their final exam. So, yeah,
very different, very different. And I can't imagine. Yeah, you mentioned the actual K through 12, K through 4, K through 6.
I don't know why. Yeah, they even have. Yeah, I don't understand the point. Like, yeah, my kindergarten will have to just come back. Can he just come back and he tap back in first grade? We're not doing this. Like you can't hold a kid. That's not how it works. So yeah, I would have had to figure it out. But that's probably why I don't have kids. Cause I'd be like, nah, no. Like I'm not wasting half my day sitting here with you I'm not doing that.
Yeah. You just tell me what you want to know.
Yeah. I mean, especially kindergarten, right? We talking apples, oranges, 1, 2, 3. We got this. We'll do it afterwards. I'm not worried about that for 8 hours. No.
The struggle continues. So being named Faith, I'm just throwing this out there. More faith gotta have faith, or what? Something. I mean, it had to be something.
Oh, absolutely. No, 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 absolutely. I mean, again, so growing up, Billy Ray Cyrus, mixing me getting the whole artist wrong. Michael, what was his name? What
George
was
Michael.
the? Thank you. I was like Michael something. George Mike. Yeah, that was the thing. Then Faith Evans comes. So it's funny. DJ Ray Vaughan, when he calls me, he actually picks a Faith Evans song. Like before we can talk, and if I don't finish the lyric or jump in with the chorus, it's a major issue. He does it all of the time.
I
So
respect it.
that's the thing. Yeah, so that's the thing. But yeah, I'm always called Faith Evans, faithful. No one ever just can say faith. It's a very difficult thing for a lot of people to do.
Too many ways to go with it. Too many ways to go.
Yes.
So I asked you before we started recording if you were a big hip hop fan. The fact that you have mentioned probably 4 hip hop songs in 20 minutes, kind of points to the fact that yes, you are from
I do
Queens.
okay.
So I was going to ask you about. Well, first of all, do you have a favorite artist from your home area?
I mean, it's funny. Most of and I guess you have to put everything in kind of categories. I guess the first thing I thought about was DMX. I just feel like, he kind of is DMX is Fab, and then, of course Jay-Z, and then you kind of go into this R&B pocket. You know what I mean? But I also separate R&B, so it's like the bands from the individual, and so on and so forth. So it just fluctuates. It really does. Like every day is something different, but DMX is definitely guaranteed to kind of probably perk me up just a little, just a little bit.
Are you a verse? I mean, I feel like everybody is. Are you a versus watcher?
Yeah,
DMX versus Snoop. What did you think? Did you think?
yeah, no, I thought it was fine. Again, it's funny watching the older rappers. It's like watching them warm up. It's hilarious because at first I was like, "Oh God, this is gonna be a disaster." Because good old Earl, you just sitting here like Snoop out the gate was ready to, And
Oh,
honestly, I still don't. I'm okay with their matchup. I don't know who I would have wanted DMX to go up against. I don't know if it was Snoop. I'm not mad at it, but once he kind of loosened up, it was great. Like it was like two old people because even imagining even saying Snoop is old is so hard because I'm like this is the guy that when I think about his music I'm like I guess we all got to grow up sometime.
kinda, kinda.
Yeah, it's just like, wow, look at that. Look, you're an old man now. Never would
Right.
have thought you would be sitting there with your leg crossed, just smoking a little blunt. Like, never, those are not the things. This is the guy
Oh,
that used to have Shirley Temple Cross. I would have never imagined you. Same thing with DMX. Like, him having a stomach is like, like,
yeah,
wow. Like,
yeah.
wow. But I get it. You know what I mean? You get older, you change some of those habits that probably were keeping you skinny. And here we are. Here we are.
Slick. But that's your man's though. That's your man's.
Yeah,
DMX.
that's my man's. That's my man's.
Oh, all right. So what I wanted to, well, actually, you didn't even really get into Queens for real. I was going
Yeah,
to ask you at first if you ever, like, obviously it was before, I won't say
yeah,
obviously, but obviously it was before your time. Uh, First thing, when I think of Queens, I think of The Bridge is Over. That's just
yeah,
go. The
yeah,
first time you
definitely.
heard that, did you have some kind of feelings? Did you feel a certain way? Like,
No, because to your point, like I was born in '82, and it's funny. Again, the same person I was talking to about things that I missed out on. That was the entirety of the conversation. Wishing that I was born in the late '60s. So the '70s, cool, that's great. But the '80s, again, to your what I think you're alluding to, being in New York when this emergence of hip hop is happening and being able to experience it. So even to refer back to DMX, like I'm still mad I wasn't never old enough to go to the tunnel. Like again, I mean, it probably was a dangerous place to be.
yeah,
Don't care, wanted to be in there, you know what I mean? But again, now the excitement comes from going into these neighborhoods. So, when I go to Left Rack, it becomes a different comment, like, oh, snap, this is Noriega. Oh, this is so cool. You know what I mean? Or when I tell people I'm from Jamaica, you're like, where? I'm like, Southside. Yeah, 50 Cent got shot around the corner from where my mama and them used to live. I wasn't there, but I can understand why he had got shot that many times. You know what I mean? So there's still like a connection to that. Or, when I talk to people and, the joke, like I had talked about a time that I ended up in Soundview, and which is there's no reason for anyone to get them from Queens. That's way, way, way out of the jurisdiction of where I should be. And the joke is like, don't ever let Peter Guns and them fool you. Like Soundview is that, no, that's not where you want to be. And it's crazy because they see the water. That's why it's called, they got water access, but it's still hood. Like that, like I don't care what they making it look like. So that's usually how I connect in terms of have been in these neighborhoods, know those scenes. So that scene in Belly where Nas is giving the chain to the, like I understand, like, oh snap, I know what that meant. That, that's mostly how I end up connecting now as an adult, since I just was too young to really fully infiltrate.
Man, but you have a lot of knowledge though.
Well, I do. Well, I mean, again, because I mean, it is what it is. I enjoy hip hop. I just wish I could have experienced it firsthand versus secondhand or just catching up. Again, like and then even when I was old enough, I was no longer living there. So you think about when Lost Boys and all those, I wasn't there to even again be in that atmosphere. I'm sure when they might perform. So I didn't really get a chance, to see Mr. Cheeks until he came to. There was a Stone Soul.
Yeah, yeah, Stone Soul. Yeah.
I think it was Stone Soul, and I'm like the judgment, because of course Stone Soul's not the demographic for Mr. Cheeks. God bless him. I mean, he gave it to him, but they was just like, who is this guy? And it wasn't until he did Lex Jeeps and Coops, and it was like, oh, he does this on the no, it's not he, it's they. Can y'all move? Because you're making music. Can you move? And literally, like, I am just the only one singing every last rap, and it was a little bit embarrassing, but I was super proud. I was super proud of myself.
I love it. I am not mad at it at all. So what's next for you? I know I'm on the agenda.
Yeah, so another Silent Headphone Party tapping on the 31st. We started doing brunch on the plaza, so which is Canal Plaza. So, and the brunch is pretty much you come, you stretch out in the park. We have a live DJ, food trucks pull up, and you just get some outdoor energy, because essentially that's what we're figuring out. People just want to be outside. Same concept. Had planned on just doing one, because the city was like, well, Canal Plaza just kind of sits there. Can you figure out something to do for there? Again, just one. Because I mean, it's cold outside. Not really, but but these ladies looked at me and said, I have a North Face. I got scarves. I don't understand the problem. Okay, so you guys just want to be outside. Yeah, that's what they said. So I said, okay, well, as long as you guys continue to buy tickets and want to be somewhere, we'll figure it out. So we have 2 more scheduled for the 18th and then the 25th. Yeah, 18 and 25. We were supposed to have one tomorrow, but because of wonderful Hurricane Delta, we had to cancel it because of the rain. It's going to rain all day tomorrow. So that's that. And then after that is really trying to figure out what we can do for 2021, because we're going to be in the same situation. So now I'm just trying to get ahead of the game with planning some, larger events in larger spaces so that we can get more people, because that's part of the issue we have now. People are just like, oh, I can't believe you sold out. I went past and it weren't, there wasn't that many people. Duh, it's called social distancing. And I got to limit these numbers, guys. No, they really get upset. Like it's really a thing. So now I'm just trying to look for larger spaces that can hold more people and allow them to really distance themselves, but we can hopefully accommodate some more. So that's kind of what's on the agenda in the next few months.
Excellent. Oh man. I was gonna let you go, but no, not yet.
It's okay.
How has it been working? Because you just keep saying that you work with the city, Parks and Recreation, or city in general. How has that been? It's
been good. I think it's been good. And again, it's been good because I fostered some really great relationships with folks who work within the city. I have to just, say that first and foremost. And that's truly something I strive to do from the very beginning, because without those conversations and those relationships, you don't really understand me and I don't really understand you. And so again, for that piece of the pie that I'm dealing with when it comes to Richmond, it's been great. I mean, again, just giving me the freedom to kind of curate the event the way I think it should be, and then being there to support me with whatever's missing. So whether that's staging, whether that's, RMC, whether that's, again, providing some guys to come in and drop picnic tables, whatever can help alleviate some of the things that might just be a financial burden or, a human burden in terms of finding people to actually do these things, just has been great. And it's just been a super supportive kind of relationship where, again, it's that allowing me to test things out. So even some of the things that I have that I would love to do for 2021, it's a matter of them just really saying, okay, Faith, we trust you. let's give it a whirl and let's see what happens, and being open to kind of having that feedback about what they would like to see versus, what I actually might have executed for that plan.
Well, it feels like you've earned that currency. So whatever you plan on doing, I'm sure I'm going to drop the
You're fine. Yeah.
information, but please, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's on Unlocking RVA on everything. So Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, unlockingrva.com. We also have an app that we launched right like in the middle of COVID. It was so much fun. So there's an Unlocking RVA app as well in the App Store, Google Play. Yes, the Androids, we took care of the Androids. I promise. I was like, I cannot do this if we can't. So, and it's funny, you putting your fist up, but the Google Play Store was actually delayed. Apple got approved like that. It took us 2 weeks extra.
Why?
I don't know. Talk to your people over at Google. But yeah, so on both platforms, and yes, you should. So it's there if you want to download it. The whole purpose of the app is to have coupon codes up there for local businesses. The online calendar is up there for both events that we're doing, as well as local events that are happening around the city. And then what else? I think that just about covers it. So the app, all the social media handles, and then our website.
Excellent. Faith, I appreciate you, Doctor.
You're fine.
I appreciate you joining me.
You're welcome.
Everybody check in with Faith. Appreciate you. Source.